Hey friends, welcome back to another Kahn's Reggae Production Corner. This is episode 2 in my video series. If you liked it so far, please subscribe to my page and comment in the thing below. So, last episode we talked about what makes reggae reggae, and we also laid down some of the drums. So in this episode we're going to talk about choosing a chord progression, and then we're going to talk about the bass. So first and foremost, chord progressions. There's a lot of chord progressions to choose from when choosing reggae, but I see a lot of bands choosing very poppy progressions, and that's just not my style. So I'm going to tell you guys kind of the 2 most overused chord progressions so that you can never make a song with those 2 chord progressions. And in a moment I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then secondly, the bass. Let's talk about the bass. So what does the bass do in reggae music? Well, a lot of things. Bass is the backbone of reggae as well as the drums, but it provides a repetitive and melodic line that catches you in the groove. So I was talking last video about the groove, heartbeat. So to keep with that idea of the groove, that's the bass supports that. So a lot of times the drums are pretty much, they're always on time, but they're swingy, right? And so the bass actually sometimes gives the illusion by how you play it that the drums are being pulled back or sometimes pushed forward. So it adds another layer of depth and reality. Because you don't need real drums in reggae. You can use digital drums, but you have to, or I try to make them sound real by having that swing and by using real drum cymbals and samples. So, but anyways, back to the bass. There's a lot of things that it does. So it supports the drums and it supports the vibe. And it's like kind of a lead instrument, if anything. Because that's what you get in your head, is the bass line. And that's what catches you and just keeps you in that groove and that vibe. So let's take a look on the computer of chord progressions, and then we'll jump into recording the bass.
All right. Well, since last time, I was fiddling a little bit with the EQ on the snare because it didn't quite sound right. So let's just pull this up. So I think I changed a little bit here. Anyways, I added more high end, more 3K, and I actually added a little bit of this back in there. So let's listen to it now. Okay, anyways, we're talking now about chord progressions, and I have 5 here. The first 2 I would say are on the don't do list, and the last 3 are very good progressions. So this is the 1, 5, 6, 4, heard in probably a bajillion songs. So let's listen. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna sound good. It's gonna sound like, oh yeah, this is warm and fuzzies, but it's not what I call good reggae. So anyways, let's listen. Just so jolly sounding. Okay, you get the picture on that one. So that's the called the Don't Stop Believing progression, and then this one is called the 50s progression, 1, 6, 4, 5. makes you want to just like, I don't know, fall in love. I don't know, it's just so cheesy sounding. Okay, so here is what I would consider a lover's rock progression, and it might sound simplistic and boring to some people, but I love it. So here we go. Yeah, man. That is the vibe right there. Okay, so I really love that one. That's a typical lover's rock. And then you can do a lot in the bridge. You can have a lot of chords. See, that's 8 of the same note or the same chord, and then 8 of the same chord. And these chords, the first one, yeah, they have sevenths. So this is a G minor seventh. Put the F in there, I think. I don't know. I don't know musical theory. I just know this sounds really good. And then it goes down a step to F with the seventh there. So anyways, that's the lover's one. And then this one is even more simplistic. I call this like a rub-a-dub one because it's just 2 chords, and it goes back and forth and back and forth. But man, there's so many good tunes that are with this progression. I could think of like 10 or 20 good rub-a-dub songs, and I'm sure you've heard some too. So anyways, that's the rub-a-dub one. And then this one is a roots. I call it roots. You'll notice that these first 2 are pairs of chords, right? And that's kind of a very poppy thing. Pop music does that a lot. They changed the chords a lot. This one could have gone that route. I could have gone pairs of chords, but I let this last phrase, so here's some chords, there's some more, and then I let it go 4 times, which to me makes it sound more like authentic reggae style. Obviously these aren't concrete rules. I'm not like the authority for reggae by any means. It's just my personal taste, right? So let's listen to this one. Pretty heavy. They're all minor chords, whereas this rub-a-dub one were both major chords. Anyways, I love that. I love a good heavy minor track. So I think out of these 3 though, we're gonna go with the lover's progression because it's a good mixture of major and minor. I'm just gonna delete these forever because I will never make a song with those progressions. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna go with the lovers. So now that we picked a progression, we should try to set up an arrangement for this song. So we're gonna do that by creating a marker 1. So we'll call that one, we're gonna call that the intro or the roll, and then I'm gonna split this here by pressing Command T, double clicking. We'll call this the intro. Then let's call this verse 1, and I think the verse 1 should go to here. Split that. Oop. Chorus. And the chorus will be probably this long. I'm just giving myself a little guideline here. And then we'll go verse 2. And this kind of makes you switch it up, right? So chorus 2. And then we'll say this is an instrumental for that amount. Okay, so we're up to 2 minutes, and then at 2 minutes we'll go back. We'll go, well, let's say verse 3 would be nice. We'll make that a short verse, and then back to the chorus. Actually, that would be chorus 3. It doesn't really matter. Actually, let's make that a little, let's make it longer. The verse should be the same every time. And then chorus 3, and then we'll just say chorus, repeat, right? And then that's 3 minutes. So I don't know, that might not be the right thing. Maybe the chorus is twice as long. I don't know, but this is just a very, very quick guideline. And then we'll say 3:45 or so. Actually, it's already cut off at a good time. So that will kind of force me to, okay, I'm going to put a drum fill here, maybe one here. There's no concrete rules, but you just don't want to get stuck in a loop. If you get stuck in a loop, then it's really difficult for you to creatively add stuff. So I know reggae is very simplistic in that it's very repetitive and whatnot, but arrangement in any song is important. Maybe I'm just going to add a different percussion element in the chorus, and that'll make it the chorus. Maybe I'm going to add like an organ or something, or a horn that differentiates, oh, this is the chorus. Because although I try to make old school sounding reggae, it's good to at least give yourself an arrangement. And I like to modernize it in a very, very slight way by adding a different element in the chorus, and I don't think that's against the rules. At least not my rules anyway. So cool, now that we got the arrangement or rough arrangement, we can lay down the bass now. Okay, we talked about arrangement, and now I got my bass here, and we're gonna jam out to the bass. And I kind of have two different bass lines. Wow, I kind of want one bass line for the chorus and one for the verse. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about bass tone. And what I do is I mostly use my middle finger, and I kind of roll it off of, I never really let my nail touch. If I do have long nails, I cut them because there's a difference in the tone. So I'm going to play with my nails because I have a little bit of nails here. If I play with my nails, then you'll hear this sound. And if I roll off my, then it's more just round instead of the high end. I don't know. To me, it doesn't sound right. So also playing position, if you saw me, I was playing kind of right around this front pickup, sort of in the front, like right in the front or right in the back. If you go right on it, then it's more of a rock tone. And then I stay away from this pickup because the further you go back, the more twangy it is. I'm going to mute the microphone here so that you can just hear the bass. And I'm going to start in the front and work my way back. So you can hear probably that last one. was really boomy. So the closer you get to the neck and the further away from this pickup, the boomier it gets, and the further away back, it kind of gets more focused and sort of jazzy or twangy, whatever you have. And then my bass is an active bass, so it has a nice rich low end. This is plugged straight into a mixer. There's no EQ, compression, no amp sim. It's a good sounding bass straight in. It's an American made Fender, and I like it a lot. But you can use a cheaper bass, a passive bass, and you can still get really good stuff when you do some processing to it. But so anyways, let's turn to the computer here and start playing, and then I'm just gonna start playing with it. Here we go. And I'm gonna mute my vocals. My voice. Anyway, you get the idea. So in the verses, I'm doing this like doom do 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 doom, and if you notice, I'm very bouncy. It's let's just play that again, and listen to what I'm doing. It's not ba da 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 da. It's ba da 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 da. You know what I mean? There's a bounce there. It's not this. It's, you hear the difference? Here we go. It's kind of pulling it back. The feeling. I was just kidding on that part. Anyway, so you hear the difference between straight and swingy. Well, in reggae, the bass has to be swingy, in my opinion, for you to get that vibe, especially if you have digital drums that are pretty much exactly on time. You have to add life. You have to make it interesting. Otherwise, it's just going to sound like a computer, which I don't like. The reggae I like, they didn't have computers back then, or if they did, it was like, 1 megabyte or something. So anyways, that's a little bit on the bass. I'm gonna go ahead and record it for real, and then when we come back, we can look at EQ and compressing the bass. Okay, I just laid down the bass and I have it here. It is raw. I recorded 4 minutes of it. But anyways, so yeah, I have no processing on this at all, but I have some ready to go. And so anyways, let's just listen. So that's the main part, and you can hear it kind of bouncing along, and it's got a nice swing to it. And then the chorus line, so this chorus is actually longer, so I'm gonna change the arrangement here a bit. So what I'm noticing here is that the kick and the bass line aren't exactly jiving that well, but on this part it works a little bit better. So anyways, you get the idea. It just kind of goes back and forth from the verse to the chorus. Yeah, where did that one start? I think I can, yeah, paste. This verse was like really long for some reason. I don't know, I was just feeling it, so I can always change the arrangement, but so yeah, back to the verse. This would be like verse 3. So anyways, I want to kind of change the kick here. Get out of the zoom mode and get out of this mode. Let's just take a listen and see what we can do to maybe change the kick around. I'm just going to loop this part here. Yeah, so let's listen to that. See, that works a lot better with the kick, snare. And we could even add another one here, I think. Might be good. Maybe delete that one. Yeah. I don't like that kick at the end. And this, it's a little bit, I don't want it exactly on the, I want it in between, kind of on the beat and where the swing is. Let's try this here, just for more realism. Yeah. There we go. Okay, and then let's listen to the chorus. See, I think that works. I mean, we can add a little. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete the rest of this. Sometimes what I do is I'll change the colors by pressing Option C to do colors. So chorus, let's make that a different color, and then verse, let's make that, sure, that color. Now I gotta change this one and half of this one. Yeah, kind of less than half of this one, because I'm changing the kick pattern and it's just easier to copy and paste, because this is the verse bass line, and then this will just, yeah, so let's, yeah, that works. I don't know if you can tell, but I like doing things kind of systematically. I like, oh, got a text message. Sorry about that. I like to, yeah, do things systematically. So I'm kind of saying, this is my intro, this is my verse. We got it all kind of mapped out, changing the colors. And then I actually recorded this bass with the tone that I wanted. Like these plugins here, I'm gonna show you what the difference of these are, and yeah, because I like to kind of mix as I go. That's why I made these drums kind of sound good as I'm starting, because for me it makes it more inspiring if you have something good when you're starting. And I know that might be counterproductive. Some people, I'm sure, just record everything even though it might not sound good, and then they'll quote unquote try to fix it later in the mix. But I try to fix it so that the tone I'm using is good right off the bat. Like I didn't show you this, but this is my piano. It's this Cuba plugin, and it's a nice little piano. But I've EQ'd it already a little bit. You know what I mean? Just because it sounds better. So let's just like listen to this real quick. And I'll switch it back to what it was. See, I don't know what you think, but I think it sounds not as good as that. Anyways, back to the bass. Yeah, let's solo the bass. it sounds good, but what I did here is I pulled up another SSL EQ and I took out some like very, very low end, and then I like took out tons of low mid frequencies and even more like higher mids, and I took out some of the top end, which I'm just cutting is all I'm doing, because there's a lot of frequencies that I really don't like on my bass. Especially for reggae, you want it to be real kind of deep, and you don't like a lot of mid-range, or at least I don't. So let's listen to the difference here. See how that's like the mids are all scooped out and it's just deep and focused. Yeah, it sounds good. And then I added a compressor. This is a Kramer Pi compressor by Waves, and it is like a super kind of brutal compressor. It just has a lot of warmth and vibe to it. With it off. And actually, the volume isn't changing. You might think it's getting louder, but it's actually not. I've staged the gain so that when I turn this off, it's the same volume. See? Same volume. Okay, it might be a hair louder. I'll turn it down. You hear the difference there? It sounds like, it just sounds worse, and that sounds deeper and focused. It sounds more honky, like, yeah, I can't describe it. I guess honky's the word. And then there was still some mid frequencies that I wanted to cut out, and I actually boosted a little bit of 200, which is like kind of the sweet spot on my bass. I find it's like really kind of a round frequency is in the 200 hertz, and your bass might be different, but since I'm cutting out almost all of the mid range, I need something in that lower mid that gives the mid range, you know. So let's listen to the difference here. It's almost a little boomier. I'll just turn it down actually. So anyways, that's, and let's listen to it without. Huge difference. Once again. Notice the feeling difference, like when you turn the compressor off and when you turn it on, there's just a different feel. I can't really describe it other than it just sounds better. I mean, I'm not compressing the heck out of it. Like, we can try that so you can really hear what it's doing. See, that's just too compressed. Yeah, see that? Just gives it more life, I guess. That's a good way to describe it. So anyways, that's the bass. And also I put this compressor, the glue compressor it's called, on the actual mix bus. So let's listen to the difference with that off and then on and then off. makes it more bumpy. Not bumpy, like it bumps. I'm trying to find the right word. I don't know, glue I guess is a good word, or just like it just brings it out. It brings it to life. Yeah, there's more life with it on, and it's not compressing a lot. Even though this compressor does sound really good on the master, like the mix bus here, with it on pretty good. It's just, the drums sound so good with it compressed. I mean, it sounds good without without compression on the mix bus. It does. It still sounds good because we have the tone of everything sounding good, and they're all individually compressed a bit. You know, with all these here, we got some compression. That's this here. Everything already has just a hint of compression on its separate channels, but you know, we want to glue those all together. So love it. Love this plugin. Anyways, that is the bass. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for tuning in, and until next time, I'll have another episode. Probably the next one's gonna be on the rhythm section, so it'll be on piano and guitar and pluck guitar, and most importantly, it's gonna be talking about polyrhythms, because reggae, unlike most genres, have a really cool way of having percussive elements come together and make things interesting. So